I think we're live.
By the way, Dr. Kennard, about your Pastor Locke video,
Yes.
I had an idea cross my mind
Tell me.
that is unsatisfactory, but might help you be able to use those videos without being flagged by YouTube.
Oh, please tell me. I'm always curious about that. Yeah.
Well, when those videos are played, I think it's the audio that gets, because somebody uses the F word or something,
Yes.
and that triggers an algorithm somewhere.
Hmm.
But what
Hmm.
if uh, to avoid the hours of work editing out those keywords, what if you just played the video with the closed captions on?
Oh, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that.
And it would be kind of unsatisfying in some ways, but
Yeah.
if Pastor Log is up there using the F word to describe gay people,
Yes.
that sort of thing, maybe the algorithm wouldn't get so upset. I don't know. Of
I don't
course,
know.
if with
Yeah.
but Pastor Locke is allowed to yell his hate on YouTube, isn't he?
Well, I know he's off of
So why
Twitter.
wouldn't you, in a sense?
Well, I know what I am afraid of, and this is what I learned in therapy. You should state what you're afraid of.
Mm,
Um, is that Right
Lions.
Wing Watch? Right
Yes.
Wing Watch had their YouTube channel taken down
Hmm.
because they were reporting on material like this. And the only reason why they were able to convince YouTube,
Hmm.
uh, to reinstate their channel is because they are a very large channel, and so they were able to marshal a fair amount of fans to, you know, to get YouTube to reinstate their channel. I am not a large. I have 2,600 and maybe 50 subscribers, and though I am hilarious,
We
I
had 18 people watching you today,
well,
and that's not going to make YouTube.
no, no.
And
Even when I repost the video on Facebook at nighttime, and we
mm.
get much more, and we get many more viewers, to tell you the truth, when I repost a
Oh,
video on Facebook at nighttime. Yeah, yeah. Um, so, like for an example, an average video might go anywhere from 150 to 200 viewers there, or up
mm.
to 300 or 400. It varies, to tell you the truth. If you look at the channel page, the Laughing and Disbelief channel page, you can see the number of views, and most of those come at nighttime when like I said, when I share the videos.
Hey, well, what if uh, this morning show of yours was just shifted to the night, and you could get some of the regulars
Yeah.
on, and so you do your show, you do your after show, and we'll make sure that there are people for you to talk to in the evening.
Well, the thing is with the evening is that um, I have thought about what's up, Simply Secular Dave and D Parks, and I should say hello to everyone. Thank you for being patient as I'm playing around with a new format for the first show, playing around with times and stuff. And so Big Zebra was just talking about maybe during the first show at nighttime, and yeah, I've thought about that, but I'm not sure. One thing at a time, right? Too many, one thing at a
Yes,
time.
and
Because
it's
we're
also, sorry, go ahead.
because we want to try to see which variable is the thing that works, and
Yes, yeah, change one thing in an experiment. Don't
yeah,
change 20 things.
right. And you can actually see this because things are much different on the channel than they were like a year ago or 2 years ago. So you can see that I am trying to play around with things with some success, with some
Hmm.
success.
I by the way, I've never the folks at Only Sky have never sent me an email saying, "Hey, Andy wrote a new article." So I was just I'm thinking there's probably a little switch somewhere,
I am
software
considering.
wise.
Yes. So, all right, all right. Thank you for telling me that. I am thinking about. Yeah, there I go again. Right. Well, the good thing about all this, everyone,
Hmm.
is that because I'm shortening the time of the first show, And you may think, well, just cutting out 10 minutes isn't really going to do that much, or 15 minutes isn't really going to
Oh,
do
I
that
don't
much.
know
Well,
about
yeah, it does actually, because each one of the stories that I would cover took a lot more time to research
hmm
and to think about how I'm going to approach it. So, like, I have notes. I have shitty jokes and notes written down here
Sure.
about the stuff for today. So yeah, yeah, I'm hoping to stream. So one of those things. I'm rambling right now, and I know that. Thank you for listening to my rambles. Is that
You know what? I just had an idea of something I can do,
what's
and
that?
that you don't have to do a thing.
What's
I'll
that?
just write to Only Sky and say, hey, I'm following these people, and I don't
Yeah,
get emails about them.
I think that's a good idea. To tell you the truth, I think that is a wise choice. To tell you the truth, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't mean it in a nasty way. I'll be very
No,
polite, but just to say, hey, and then and like here's hoping the system shakes itself loose.
yes, I think that is a wise choice. I have, yeah, yeah. I can't even think about thinking about. How's that for a statement? I
hmm
can't even think about thinking about doing anything new, because in theory, I
hmm
would like to do maybe like some kind of newsletter, Substack. It would be a
mm
combination of comedy and news, mostly news with some comedy. But I don't even think I can marshal enough energy or time for that. I may in the future, but
mm.
yeah,
Well,
right now,
when people think about the number of things they have to do,
yeah,
um, I remember as a sales rep, I would start thinking about the number of things I'd have to do and write them down. And my
yeah,
to-do list was so long that I wouldn't be able to leave my home and go work. So
yes,
I would leave the list there and go work
yeah.
instead of it was just absurd.
It's good to have you back for the live streams too, D Parks.
Hey, D.
Tobin Templeman. Good morning, Tobin.
By the way, uh, Pastor Greg Locke's church is called the Global Vision Bible Church. And if
That's
it
no,
doesn't seem too nasty, can anything in Tennessee be called Global Vision? It
that's
seems
very
sort
good.
of.
Well, maybe if it was like in the 19th century, it has a global vision. Maybe if it was like 16th century, there's a global vision
Mm,
there.
mm. There's Tobin.
There is Tobin. He, there might be internet problems at his end. He looks a little choppy.
Yeah, we're not getting the lovely audio we've come to
Yeah.
expect with Mr. Tobin.
Though I do like the stop action, animation vibe that we're getting from there.
mm. Something weird in Ontario. I live in the province of Ontario, Canada.
Right.
Animal tranquilizer detected in growing number of human overdose deaths in Ontario.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, I had a
Animal
girlfriend.
tranquilizers.
Yeah, yeah. I had a girlfriend back in the day when I was in high school, and girlfriend in a very loose sense of the word,
hmm
who was into animal tranquilizers.
What?
Um,
Wow.
yeah, it's
What's
yeah.
Tobin's favorite animal tranquilizer? Because he seems so chill, you know?
I heard that was something that Marilyn Manson was doing, the horse tranquilizers. What was
Yeah.
that drug called? That's crazy nuts.
That is crazy nuts. But Marilyn Manson seems to be the king of crazy nuts, from what I understand, from what
Mm.
little I've read about, at least his sadistic lifestyle, right? How he treated women.
Yeah, that
Right.
made me feel kind of sad.
Mm,
More people abuse. Come on.
yeah. Hey, you know what I learned the other day? I learned, and I think it was on Jeopardy, that a group, and we might have gone over this before, a group of zebras is called a dazzle.
Yes,
What?
I've heard that too. There are a
That's
bunch
awesome.
of words proposed for zebras. Dazzle fits quite nicely, I think.
Yes, I think it is. I think the only thing that would make it more awesome is if there was glitter on zebras. You know, there would be incredible, right? Yes, I saw the girlfriend's been has been keeping an eye on the wastewater, because that's what, for those of you who don't know, that a way to tell how much, coronavirus is being passed around is by looking at wastewater.
So
And
don't drink wastewater.
don't
Stop it.
drink wastewater. But yeah, I was talking to a buddy the other day, my friend who has a master's in nursing,
Mm,
and he was just walking out of getting his booster, his second booster.
mm,
And I got to get myself down to CVS or somewhere to get my second booster before there's like a surge. Once people realize that there's going to be another
mhm.
COVID surge, so that's what I plan to do.
Hi, Cindy Plaza.
What's up, Cindy?
There's another bit of groundbreaking news in my locale. Apparently, we will soon be offered doctor-assisted death to the mentally ill. But I, I, I didn't even know we had doctor-assisted death for physical illness. So,
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that either. I know that there are a couple of states here in the states, and of course
mhm.
Switzerland. We've talked about a number of times, but yeah, I wasn't aware about. You're planning a surgery, Cindy Plaza. Well, I hope it's not going to be. I hope it goes as well as possible. You broke your Achilles heel on Saturday.
Jesus,
How
Oh,
are you
all right.
trying to kick turtles to death or something, Cindy? Because
Well,
you know those big ones from the Galapagos, you'll break your heels on those. No, no question.
yeah, I am a friend of mine actually. Just she broke one of her bones in her forearm a little while ago, and she had to get operated on to put. She has a small plate connecting her bone basically together. You're playing soccer, see, physical activity and going outside, a dangerous combination.
Mm, mm.
Spoken as a true outdoorsman like myself.
But you should be kicking those damn tortoises in the Galapagos. They're big and lazy. You know,
Well,
they
they're
waste a
easy
lot of time
targets.
getting around.
And I've heard, and I've said this once, and I've said it before. I've said it. I'll say it again. Is that zebras once again have been known to kill many a people with their kicking.
Only people who have it coming.
Nice.
I did have a moment where I wanted to kick some kids who were feeding a big giant tortoise at a feeding zoo. Like, I was like, y'all come and get your kids. They're like shoving the food in this turtle's face. I was like, what the heck, dude?
It's interesting to see. It's interesting on how to play situations like that with other people's kids when the parents aren't around. Sometimes I use the voice. I've used the voice before. It's like, is that a good idea? I can't even do the voice right now because I'm not that agitated. But just doing a little pitch down your voice, and I would say something like, "What are you thinking?" Or "Is that a good idea?" Or
Yeah.
"Where are your parents?" You know.
Mm.
There was a moment at the playground when my kids were much younger, when middle schoolers were doing some basic vandalism. They were going to rock over a monument. I don't know, and it's like, I think I was in a bad mood, so I didn't. I think I might have used the voice in a more than stern manner. That's what I think. I think that's what I did, in a more than stern manner. And I think my kids were just there looking at me going, well, I'm glad it's just not me he's talking to like that.
I was thinking your use of the word "I use the voice on them" reminded me of the Dune,
Oh
uh,
yeah,
the
yeah,
first one
yeah.
anyway.
Once I read the book. I read the book when I was like in high school. It's like, there's some truth to that in the voice. Being able to get your way or to alter people's behavior by the tone of your voice. And actually, when I was giving trainings on how to de-escalate agitated and aggressive people,
Hmm.
Yeah, being able to change the inflection in your voice to match the situation is definitely helpful. You can either de-escalate a situation or make it incredibly worse just by how you say things.
Man.
I was watching this video. Um, Mike, I think it's Mark Felton Productions. He's a Brit historian, and he does a lot of World War II material. And he was talking about, and I shit you not with this, all the World War II era weapons that the Ukrainians and the Russians are using. Now, I know the AK-47, right? That was a World War II kind of weapon.
It's a classic.
But there are legitimate, like, World War One era weapons, like the Maxim gun. The Ukrainians had these World War One machine guns on tripods that they were using in France in like 1915 that they're using now to defend themselves against the Russians.
Wow. The American Army has a weird gun from World War One that still works, and it's really
yeah, some of the Russians are using a World War II era bolt action rifle for sniping, for snipers.
Yes.
And so, but yeah, I just thought it was I'm looking at some of the weapons, which I recognize, like the World War II era weapons. And it's like, wow, that's just crazy.
Mm. And now we have, of course,
recycle, reuse.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying the reports of asymmetrical warfare actually working for, thank you, Simply Secular, working for the Ukrainians. But I was horrified sometimes when troops get their ass kicked and they have to retreat. They will do that thing where they kill everybody in sight on the way out. And apparently that happened in, I can't remember the city name.
Yeah, that is when, especially with the Russians, right? Yeah. I mean, when they're not doing, they're bad to begin with, but when they're getting smacked around, that does not bring out the better angels of their nature.
No, or anyone's.
Yeah.
But it's just so sad and unnecessary.
It really is. It really is, and you can just see that it was all so predictable in how they planned the invasion. And I'm not saying that the invasion was right at all, but if they had done it correctly, the war would have been over like they thought in 3 days. But they just didn't have enough people. They didn't concentrate their forces, and they were just sucking their own dicks, basically. They did. They were. It was once again.
I never thought the Russians were this incompetent, though.
Well, if you look at the Winter War that they did with Finland between 1939 and 1940, it was incredibly incompetently run. If you look, and the thing is, the Russian successes have been against very small countries, civil wars going on, where the other side isn't well organized or well armed, and so of course they can just bomb the crap out of them or overwhelm the other side. But in Ukraine, it's a huge country. There's once I'm not saying anything that anyone else hasn't said, but they were just expecting just to to use Hitler's term, to kick the door in and the whole thing would fall apart, right? That's what Hitler thought about Russia when he invaded. I just got to kick the door in and the whole thing is going to fall apart, and that did not happen. And there was no plan B. There was no plan B. And so that's why you see what they're doing right now is trying to concentrate their forces onto the Donbass region. So and like we were saying before, there's a few options the Russians have in terms of final goals. One is to create a land corridor down to the Crimea. Another is to do an East Ukraine, West Ukraine kind of situation on using the Dnieper River as like a border. And of course, their main goal was just to overthrow the government and install a puppet dictator. But they're pushing their goalposts back, and so their short-term goal at least is to do that land corridor to the Crimea.
To give it a little perspective, Texas is just a little bit larger than the Ukraine,
Mm.
and Texas is enormous.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my figures are in metric because I'm Canadian, but the Ukraine is 600,000 square miles, and Texas is something like 690.
Wow. Yeah. John Hudson writes, the British 303 was
Just
used in
put it
World
in
War
perspective.
One. Yeah, something similar to the 303. I think John Hudson is what the Russians are using in the Donbass region for sniping. Yeah, Cindy, imagine the arrogance required to think that you'll just go to war and people will run away, or that they'll greet you, right? They'll just say, "Hey, look at you, you're our heroes." Yeah,
Also,
ridiculous.
the problem with propaganda, if you're a Russian and you were told that there was a Nazi takeover of Ukraine and you had to go in, at what point, what do you believe if you are just, there's constant lies? The government
Yeah,
can't be lying about everything. Maybe they're right about this. Um, and then you go into the Ukraine and find out it isn't so.
I think there's probably, like the states, right? Like here in the states, there's always going to be like maybe 20% of the population who believes whatever filth that comes out of Fox News or Donald J. Trump's
Oh,
mouth or Greg Locke's mouth. And so there's probably like that level or something similar to that in Russia. And while most of the population are just coerced, they're just coerced into,
mhm.
following along. I think everyday Russians know that they're not getting the full story or a realistic view of what's going on.
Since they announced the arrest of opposition leaders, I think anyone uh, on such a, or Pussy Riot, throwing them in
Oh
jail
yeah,
for years.
yep, yep.
Uh,
I remember that story. Yeah, yeah.
can I say the P word on this show?
I think you just did, sir. I
In
think
a
you just did.
proper, it's in a proper name.
It's in a proper name. Yeah, I'm
Could have
sure
said P Riot.
you
That's
could have, but you
too.
went with the old school Pussy Riot. So yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's their name, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
What was that group for? What did they do? I
They
forget.
did a protest in a church, as I recall. Do I remember that correctly, Big Zebra?
That was the thing that triggered their arrest and conviction because they have a law about disrupting religious such and such. But because the government wants to co-opt the Russian Orthodox Church, so
Yeah.
they have these laws in reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, P Riot did tons of public protests in Russia, and they
Yeah.
were also a band, I think.
Oh
So
yeah. They're a punk rock band.
yeah.
They are performance artists and a punk rock band. Yeah.
Once again, punk rock shows the way.
It really does. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. So, how are things in Texas there, Mr. Tobin?
It seems all right, but I'm just like in my little area. I hardly go out. But I have noticed, I did go out this weekend, and I noticed like everybody has stopped wearing masks over here. Like I think it
Mm-hmm.
is finally happening to where people just don't care about that anymore, I guess.
Mm. It's a mixed bag here. I wear a mask, other people do too, but not everybody.
Yeah. Here we've just basically, no one's wearing a mask. Very few people. We were at the Isabella Gardner Museum yesterday, which is right by the Museum of Fine Arts. And if you ever go to Boston,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely worth a take in the Isabella Gardner Museum. It's got some pretty. That was a place that got ripped off like back in the 90s. They got a couple of major paintings stolen.
Oh, that's right. I remember hearing about that.
Yeah,
They did the sort of Mission Impossible thing.
They did a Mission Impossible thing, and the frames are still there from where the thieves took the paintings.
Yeah, I wonder if it was a made-to-order robbery where some wanker says, "I'll pay you 50,000 if you steal this
Yeah.
$1 million painting for me.
Yeah. So we were. It could have been. Who knows, right? We were there yesterday, and so not a lot of people are wearing masks. Not a lot of people. Yeah.
Hmm.
But that'll probably change, or maybe not. I mean, I don't know when the new variant hits hard.
Well, normally with horrible diseases, eventually enough of the population is left that isn't going to die from, even in the case of the Black Death, I think that was the
Yeah.
case. But I don't know, is there some evolutionary, there might be an evolutionary advantage to a disease that spreads without killing its hosts, because then you have more opportunity to spread. So a
Yeah.
less deadly disease might have an evolutionary advantage.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's why the epidemiologists were talking about this months ago, maybe even a year or two ago, when things were bad. Is that typically viruses evolve so that they don't kill their host?
Mm-hmm.
That
Okay.
because the goal. I mean, once again, referencing Richard Dawkins, the selfish gene. Genes, quote unquote, want to continue, right? They want to continue. They want to replicate. And that means if they can insert themselves in your genome, then
Mm.
that's like the money shot right there. Because remember, even if those genes aren't activated, even if they're considered quote unquote junk DNA, they're still being replicated for generations and generations
Yes.
and generations. And so that's a double plus win for
I
viruses that evolve into a more benign form.
wonder if there's a figure out there for what portion of our genome is in fact absorbed viral DNA.
I'm sure that I've seen numbers before. I forget what they are. I don't feel confident
Mm-hmm.
enough to if the girlfriend was here who does biostats, she might know, but
Mm.
she seems to be doing legitimate adult things this morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice to have a practical person around the house.
Well, yes. Yes. Whenever I have a smart person question, I'll ask her first. She's
Mm.
my first. She's my first person that I go to.
Right. Right. Are you still doing work for Only Sky then, aside from your column? Can we ask that question?
You can officially ask that. Currently, I'm still doing stuff for Only Sky. Yeah,
Okay,
currently.
that's good of you.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, right?
And I hear the sex is terrific.
It is. Well, that's why I'm into blogging to begin with.
It's for the
It
sex.
isn't for the um, tens of thousands of pennies I make, but it's for the rabid fan base of fans there. That's what I'm really into the blogging
Mm.
for.
Mm.
Simply Secular Dave points out, I think we have hit some complacency about acceptable losses to COVID that we do with the flu, major vehicle accidents on the highways work. Well, yeah, I think you're right about that, Dave. I think that there's definitely this kind of complacency. And there must be a special technical term for that level of complacency where we're okay with 40,000 deaths from the flu every year or how many people die on the highways every year. But yeah.
Yes. There was a word for that where as people, for example, adopt seatbelts and get bigger cars, they
Hmm.
tend to feel safer, so they drive faster, which is really weird.
Mm.
Well, you just have to drive in the winter and, in the snow, and you get to see people drive in large vehicles. Probably first time, like younger people who don't understand
Mm.
what inertia is. Like if you have a large vehicle, there's more inertia, so that while you may live, and I haven't seen stats on this, though it'd be interesting, while you may live from an accident, you may be at a greater risk of an accident because it takes longer to actually stop your car in slippery
Yes.
conditions. I'd like to see the insurance, because the insurance industry has numbers about that. I'd be curious.
Oh, they live by actuarial tables,
Actuarials, that's right.
and
Well,
God knows what they have in there. My brother was horrified when he worked for an insurance company
yeah,
for a while, and it turned out that the number of people who were horrifically injured because they got in an accident and something inside their own car
yeah,
bounced around and hit them on the head or the neck.
yeah.
Ooh.
Well,
So, oh, I was just going to say, so if you're going to work today, put your your briefcase in the trunk of your car,
wise.
or that can of paint you've been meaning to, you know.
I was told as a kid that like a Kleenex box sitting in the back can fly up and kill a person. I don't know if that's true. I was told this as a kid.
I don't think that's true.
But I do see people riding with license plates in their front windshield, because in Texas you have to have it on the front of your vehicle. But there's people who actually ride around with it just in the front windshield, like just stuck there, this metal plate. I'm like,
death plate. That's what it is, Tobin. It's a death plate.
It's asking for it, isn't it?
On that note, we're gonna drop out, everyone. Drop out. We're gonna tune in, drop out. I don't know what we're gonna be doing. I'm just saying words. But we'll see you tomorrow. Oh no, wait. I gotta do a college tour with my kid tomorrow.
Oh, have a great time.
Yeah. So that's early in the morning. It starts at, so I have to go pick her up, and then it starts at 10. But so no show tomorrow because I have a college tour, and it's one of those dad things I have to do. So
yes.
Last thing, Dave says the tissue box injuries were debunked by MythBusters.
Oh, okay.
So there's a MythBuster episode.
Heck yeah.
All right. Take care, everyone. Shamala.
Shamala.